Hiya Mark, lovely to finally meet you at the range on Tuesday and begin working on your game. This is sort of stage one of your session where we were talking a little bit about your overtaking rate, if you will, through the ball. Not so much coming into the golf ball, but through the rate of closure through the golf ball. We were talking about the head translating back, etc., and your sort of battle with that over the past few seasons. So if we take a little look at what we were looking at the beginning of your session, we were talking about, for me, the stance was just a little bit too wide for someone who translates back and who struggles with a high rate of closure, so we just narrowed that off a little bit. Just unsynchronise these swings. So far left is the start of your session. Some beautiful moves in your swing. Left shoulder working down nicely, big shoulder turn, great extension to the top. Nice squat. You know, the left knee, what we talked about here was that the left knee was going forward. But the centre of the hips wasn't really moving that much. So the hips haven't gone too far forward at this stage. A lot of down lag, you know, which is a good thing. As long as we can then release it at the correct rate. But what we were seeing here through the ball relating to the problems you've had was that the left knee was very flexed at P6. Didn't really diminish its flex too much coming into the ball, and then started to rapidly release its flex on the way through. We can see as you do that. The other thing was the right foot was popping up and sliding in, and again it's sort of a reaction to whip the stance, getting rid of the flex in the left knee, etc. So obviously when you've done the drill in the past where you're trying to maintain your angles a little bit more through the ball, keep the arms straight, etc., you've focused heavily on the rate of closure, and that's fine, but what we needed you to do was focus a little bit more on what was causing that high rate of closure through the ball. So we talked about what the left knee should actually do. So particularly when we've got drivers, slightly different with an iron because we're trying to hit down on it and present negative loft with the golf club into the golf ball. But what we're seeing here with driver is what we actually want. We want the left knee to be flexed at P6 and then straighten from P6 to P8. So there's a gradual straightening of the left knee from P6 to P8. And in doing that, that brings the hips out of the forward tilt sooner, allows the body to continue to turn properly, which allows the head to release and controls the rate of closure on the club face. So it makes it easier to do what you're doing. So when you've been doing the drill, you've maybe been demonstrating that visually. So if someone was watching you on the range, did see that left leg straightening, but you were attaching very little importance to it during the downswing, and you're almost presenting the left leg through the ball a little bit more like you'd see with a player hitting a 7 or an 8 iron, a lot more flex in the left knee, particularly coming up to impact and just before. The other thing that straightening the left knee does from P6 to P7 is shallows out the angle of descent on the golf club. So more of a focus on straightening the left leg from P6 when you're hitting driver, with a slightly narrower stance. And the other piece we put in there was a slightly more, a slight shift forward with the hips. So we've got stance a little bit narrower, hips push forward towards the target just a little bit more, creating the axis tilt that we're looking for at the setup, that for you needs to be around about sort of 10 to 13 degrees. But as long as you're pushing the hips forward, you'll create that anyway. So what we're seeing here now is slightly changed action. Just zoom this one in for us. So we've got the initial swing on the left, the drill swing in the centre, and then the new swing on the far right. Now, with the idea of straightening the left leg through the hip certainly from P6, what we're seeing now are, rather than the hips still sort of facing us, they're starting to turn out the waist sooner. So remember, if you want to keep the hips turning continuously through the downswing, you've got to make sure that they come out of their forward flex coming into the golf ball. So we're seeing a much more gradual straightening of the left leg coming through the golf ball, which is resulting in a more continuous turning of the hips. So we'll look at you just prior to impact. There's much less flex in that left leg. It's started to straighten from P6. Right foot's on the ground for a little bit longer. Hips are sliding, turning and extending at a more gradual rate, rather than the left leg bracing very quick and the belt raising very quick, dragging the right foot in. So really we're just looking for a nice gradual straightening of the left leg from P6 to P8 when you're hitting driver. When you look at yourself in the middle doing the drill, the feeling that we gave you, or the thought that we gave you, was that as you come through the golf ball, we want to have at P8, we want to have a straight left leg, and we want the belt buckle facing the target. Beautiful demonstration of it at that point. And if you look on the two far left and far right swings there, look how much less the club has passed your hands at that point in the swing, so much less sort of catapulting of the golf club through the ball. So that was phase one, really just tidying up your ability to control the rate of closure on the club face and the line of compression shifting left, and more importantly just give you a good understanding of what you actually need to do. That I know you've worked really hard on releasing the head and preventing that rate of closure, but when you were going out on the golf course it wasn't really working for you, because that left knee staying flex was just forcing you to extend the upper body, head comes off the wall, arms leave the rib cage, club wraps over. So straightening the left leg is certainly the way forward for you. We'll go over the other changes that we discussed in phase 2 of your session, which is the following recap that you'll see on the Academy. Good luck with it. I look forward to working with you again in the coming months. Well done.